same applies between disciplines in the same stage, in the same phase, right? All the information that each of the disciplines produce should not be siloed, should be connected and transferable to the other disciplines for them to be able to use it and work with it.
Exactly.
So it's about the mindset of recycling and reusing Cosmos, is order from chaos. So in this case, the chaos will refer to the Babel Tower, where this the myth of everybody talking different languages. And sometimes I feel that the construction teams were like that, or the communication between teams was a little related to the Babel Tower. Could not be built because the workers could not communicate with each other. Okay. And we are not that far from there when it comes to try to understand data produced by other teams. Cannot use it, because, it's different language. Not talking language as in Danish, English, etc. It's different language as in, I don't know what you mean by this. I cannot use it. It's dangerous to use it because I don't understand it. And probably the output is not correct if I'm not utilizing your data in the proper way.
I agree.
And then in this line, the workflows had to change in BIM. How do differ these workflows and from the traditional methods, and what are the advantages of working with this different mindset, this different approach?
Yes, open workflows, open BIM, interoperability between different software, managing information regardless of which software different stakeholders use. This is like the aim. We are very well on the way to do this. And actually, we already have some examples. We already work with utilizing the power of open BIM.
To me, open workflows is the equal of a common language ground, basically. So you don't require to have a specific software. You don't require to know specific formats or a specific programming languages or a specific understanding of a different industry to evaluate and validate if the data is correct. It will be everything is transformed to common ground, common language. Exactly. So that everybody can communicate at that level, create that connection between the stakeholders.
Yes.
All right. And can you share some examples, Adriana, of how optimizing the model uses and the different maturity levels and information levels in projects you've worked with?
I think it's interesting you mentioned the analogy with the Babel Tower.
Yeah.
Because this project I want to share with you is it was a very interesting project because it was the first time I had encountered a silo scattering between the disciplines. It was a very also a very interesting assignment within the plant industry, plant design. So we had the process engineers and we had us consultants and some other stakeholders. And we did use common data environment, but somehow nobody thought of utilizing the common data environment for example, for the process engineers. Yeah. And so what we got out of it, we worked really hard. It was some very talented project members that I was working with. It was fascinating how everybody was interested in this. They all wanted to have information flow and between all the models, for example, in this case, but also between all the project members that are not a part of this technical design team, right? The client, how do we communicate with the client? It was very important to show them, to visualize how this factory is going to look like. Then we utilized a common data environment, and the biggest outcome was what I took with me was that a feeling of it's working, like the roads are open and the information is flowing, data is being processed in a very simple common language like you mentioned, and there are no obstacles, no data loss between the phases. That was also one of the things you also earlier mentioned. To an extent, I suppose, right? Yeah, of course, up to an extent, but for that data that was required it was not a very complex requirement, but the most important data. To try and not have data loss between the phases.
It's very important, and in this experience, everybody understood that it was everybody's work and not just the work of someone who is responsible for it to actually fix everybody's problems, and that they contributed and collaborated for it to happen. I think in the end, once you have been involved in these processes, you see the value of this type of methodologies and processes, and the little bit extra work that needs to be put into, but that is rewarded by ensuring good quality data, by ensuring available data in the next phases, in your next project. Because let's remember, circularity of information is you try to gather all the data for your project, but ultimately a project has a dead end, and then what you want is to actually utilize that data as well in other projects. I think there's still a little work to do in terms of silo, like remove the silo between phases, remove the silo between disciplines in each phase, and actually also look at removing the silo between projects themselves, right? So like we don't work creating all these flows into one project, but actually try to make it transferable to other projects as well, and the learnings and the data and the potential predictions from artificial intelligence when we get there, to be, as you said before, proactive and take active decisions and take active actions into the different stages to come and the tasks to come, rather than being proactive, waiting for everything to come, waiting for the information to be produced and shared and analyzed to actually take the decision. Then, like, we want to be ahead of that. That's when it's more profitable for projects in terms of reducing resources of people, hours of work, reducing efforts, because they don't need to redo. If we are constantly taking reactive decisions, a lot of work has been done already, and then you need to go back and redo again. And also in terms of economical savings as well, right? So if you reduce efforts, you make optimal processes, and then you reduce as well, of course, the investment that you need into these actions by investing very little in putting order into the chaos of all your data and all your information in the project.